When we compare ourselves to others, we fall into a trap that can significantly affect our emotional and mental well-being. At first glance, it may seem harmless, looking at someone else's life or achievements and thinking, I wish I could do that, or why aren't I there yet? But the reality is, comparison is one of the most detrimental things you can do for your growth and self-worth. You see, each of us has a unique story, a different set of circumstances, challenges, and opportunities, yet we often find ourselves comparing our behind-the-scenes struggles to someone else's highlight reel. The moment we do that, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. No one's life looks like another person's. Your journey is yours alone, shaped by your choices, experiences, and circumstances. So when you compare your current situation with someone else's, you're essentially measuring yourself against a standard that's not only unfair, but impossible to live up to. The danger in comparison is that it shifts your focus from your own growth to someone else's. Instead of celebrating how far you've come, you begin to fixate on what you don't have or where you feel you lack. That's when self-doubt creeps in. When you start measuring yourself against another person, you're no longer seeing the value in your own life. Instead, you're blinded by the desire to have what someone else has. And this creates a constant cycle of inadequacy. It's like running a race where the finish line keeps moving further away, simply because the finish line isn't meant to be someone else's accomplishments. It should be your own personal goals and dreams. This mindset robs you of your potential. It takes away the energy you could be putting into your own goals, dreams, and ambitions and channels it into unnecessary comparisons that don't move you forward. We often forget that people we compare ourselves to have gone through their own trials and tribulations, struggles we may not even be aware of. We're not seeing the full picture, just the part they choose to show. And even if we did, their journey's not the one you're meant to watch. Comparing yourself to others is a losing game. It's a game that only leads to frustration, envy, and self-criticism. It distracts you from the most important person in your life, you. The only person you need to compete with is the person you were yesterday. Are you improving? Are you learning? Are you growing? That's what matters. Your own personal growth should be your benchmark, not someone else's. Instead of measuring your worth based on others, ask yourself what you can do to improve each day, what steps you can take to move closer to your own dreams. Understand that everyone's timeline is different. The person you're comparing yourself to may have started before you, or they may have had different opportunities. You're on your own timeline, and that's something to be proud of. You have the power to create the life you want, one step at a time. So let go of the comparison and embrace the journey that's uniquely yours. When we talk about self-awareness, we're diving into the most powerful tool you have at your disposal for personal growth and transformation. Too often, people look for answers outside themselves. They try to find success in the methods, strategies, or accomplishments of others. They think that by mirroring what others have done, they'll achieve similar results. But the truth is, your growth, your success, and your fulfillment come from within. True self-awareness allows you to understand what drives you, what holds you back, and most importantly, what is uniquely yours. It's about recognizing your strengths, acknowledging your weaknesses, and having the courage to work on both. When you're truly self-aware, you understand that your journey isn't about comparing yourself to anyone else, because you know that no one else's journey is like yours. Each of us is different. We have different values, different desires, different fears, and different levels of motivation. Your background, your upbringing, your experiences, these all play a part in shaping who you are. When you tap into self-awareness, you begin to see the areas of your life that need attention, and you also start to recognize your potential and what you can achieve when you align with your true self. Self-awareness allows you to stop playing the game of comparison. It helps you realize that someone else's success is theirs for a reason, and it doesn't diminish your worth or your ability to succeed. The more you become in tune with your own abilities, passions, and purpose, the less you'll feel the need to measure up to others. You are your own greatest asset, and when you nurture that asset, you unlock the true power to grow, to create, and to lead the life that is meant for you. One of the first steps in developing self-awareness is to take a hard look at who you are at this moment in time. This isn't about judgment or criticism. It's about observation and honesty. Where are you in your life right now? What are the things you excel at, and where do you struggle? These are critical questions to ask yourself. It's easy to get lost in the noise of society's expectations or the opinions of others, but the foundation of growth lies in your ability to evaluate yourself without distortion. Acknowledging both your strengths and your weaknesses gives you the clarity needed to improve. Being self-aware also means understanding your values, those non-negotiable beliefs that guide your decisions and actions. These are the principles that resonate with you at a core level, and when you live in alignment with them, you'll feel more connected to your purpose. When you're clear on what matters most to you, there's less room for comparison. The more you focus on what aligns with your values, the more you step into your power and the less you're affected by what others are doing or achieving. Another crucial aspect of self-awareness is understanding your emotional triggers. Everyone has them. There are things, situations, or even people that can make us feel inadequate or insecure. These triggers often spark negative comparisons because they lead us to believe that someone else has it better or that we're falling short in some way. But when you become aware of these triggers, you gain the ability to manage them. You can choose not to let them dictate your mindset. Instead of allowing these emotional responses to control you, you can make a conscious choice to rise above them. This gives you the freedom to live your life according to your own standards, rather than the unspoken standards set by society or by the people around you. Self-awareness also invites you to practice mindfulness, being present with yourself and your life right here and now. This means paying attention to the thoughts, feelings, and experiences that arise in any given moment without judgment. When you start to practice mindfulness, you begin to shift your focus away from the external world and the comparisons it may trigger, and back toward yourself. In that state, you can tap into what's real for you. Without being distracted by the success or failures of others, you can appreciate where you are and at the same time recognize the potential for growth that lies ahead. Another important aspect of self-awareness is understanding your patterns. We all have habits and behaviors that define our lives. Some of these are constructive and some are not. When you are truly self-aware, you begin to see these patterns clearly, especially the ones that may hold you back. You can look at why you procrastinate, why you avoid certain challenges, or why you sometimes feel like you're stuck. Once you identify those patterns, you can choose to break them. You can create new, empowering habits that move you toward the person you want to become. Rather than being a victim of your own unconscious behaviors, you can take control of them and create the future you desire. Self-awareness also plays a huge role in building self-confidence. When you know who you are, when you understand what you're capable of, and when you've taken the time to work on your weaknesses and enhance your strengths, your belief in yourself naturally grows. You no longer need external validation. You don't need to compare yourself to someone else to feel worthy. You recognize your inherent value, and that self-assurance becomes a driving force in everything you do. Confidence comes from self-awareness. It comes from the deep knowing that you are enough, just as you are. It's important to remember that self-awareness is not a destination, it's a journey. It's a practice that evolves over time. As you continue to grow, you'll find new things about yourself, and that's part of the beauty of it. You'll uncover layers of your identity, your capabilities, and your desires that you may not have been aware of before. The more you explore and cultivate self-awareness, the more you'll see that you are not defined by anyone else's standards or timelines. Your power lies in your authenticity and your ability to trust yourself and your journey. When you're self-aware, you become immune to the toxic effects of comparison. Instead of looking at others and feeling inadequate or jealous, you can acknowledge their achievements and be inspired by them. You understand that their path is different from yours and that they too have faced their own struggles. You learn to appreciate your unique journey, knowing that it's leading you to exactly where you need to be. The more you embrace this, the more you can live in alignment with your true self and find fulfillment that's grounded in your own personal growth. So when you stop comparing yourself to others and start tuning into your own strengths, values, and emotions, you begin to unlock your full potential. Self-awareness is the key that opens the door to a life of fulfillment, peace, and true success. It empowers you to stop measuring yourself against unrealistic standards and start focusing on the incredible person you are becoming. And in that, you'll find the freedom to achieve more than you ever thought possible. Because the only person you need to compete with is the one you were yesterday. In today's world, social media has become an unavoidable presence in most of our lives, and while it can be a valuable tool for connection, inspiration, and learning, it can also be a source of great harm, especially when it comes to comparison. The reality is, social media has created a distorted version of life, one that makes us constantly measure our worth against carefully curated, often unrealistic portrayals of other people's lives. And when you spend too much time comparing yourself to these idealized versions of others, you start to forget that these posts, these photos, these stories are just a fraction of the truth. The issue isn't that social media is inherently bad, but rather that it creates an environment where the highlight reel of other people's lives is put on display, and you only see the finished products, the filtered selfies, the glamorous vacations, the perfectly put together homes, the accomplishments, the happy families, the successes. But what you don't see are the behind the scenes struggles, the challenges, the disappointments, and the hard work that led to those moments. No one posts the sleepless nights, the tears, the failures, the sacrifices, or the moments of doubt. Yet we tend to believe that this snapshot is the full reality, and in doing so, we start to feel like we're falling short. Let's break it down. How often do you find yourself scrolling through your feed, seeing someone else's amazing vacation photos, their new car, their promotion at work, or their seemingly perfect relationships? And in that moment, how often do you think to yourself, why don't I have that? Or how come I'm not there yet? Social media has a sneaky way of making you feel inadequate, as if everyone else has figured things out and is living their best life while you're struggling to keep up. This is a powerful form of comparison that often goes unnoticed. But here's the truth. You're comparing your day-to-day reality to someone else's highlights. You're comparing your struggles and challenges to their moments of success, their celebrations, their moments of joy. And that's not fair to yourself. What social media doesn't show is the whole story. You don't see the years of effort, the failures, or the compromises made to get to that point. You're not seeing the true, unfiltered journey, just the end result. But even those end results, those perfect moments, are often just a snapshot of someone's life, taken at the right moment, under the right lighting, with just the right angle. What's even more dangerous about social media is the illusion of perfection that it creates. Many people post only the best version of themselves, which can lead others to believe that everyone else has it together. This creates a warped sense of reality where you think your life is the only one that's messy, incomplete, or not where it should be. You see other people posting about their perfect families, their business successes, their flawless bodies, and you start to believe that your life doesn't measure up. But again, this is not real life. Social media highlights only a fraction of what's truly going on, and by constantly measuring yourself against it, you'll only set yourself up for disappointment. Moreover, the rise of influencers and digital celebrities has further exaggerated the gap between what's real and what's presented. Many influencers promote a lifestyle that's unattainable for most people. They have the resources, the connections, and the privilege to live an almost dreamlike existence. When people try to measure their own lives against these curated, commercialized images, they can feel an overwhelming sense of inadequacy. It's easy to feel that you're not good enough, not successful enough, or not attractive enough. But what's missing from the equation is context. Influencers and brands have teams, sponsors, and sometimes paid campaigns that help create the perfect image, a reality that most of us don't have access to. And yet, we still fall into the trap of thinking that's what we should be aspiring to, which sets us up for frustration and disillusionment. The problem isn't with social media itself, it's how we use it. If we allow ourselves to get sucked into the trap of comparison, social media can distort our self-perception and perception of success. Instead of using it as a tool for inspiration, learning, or connection, we end up using it as a yardstick to measure our lives against the lives of others. This leads to feelings of inadequacy and envy, which ultimately steal your joy and prevent you from appreciating what's great about your own life. It's important to remember that social media is a platform for highlights, not reality. People post when they're happy, when they've achieved something, or when they're showcasing their successes. Rarely do people post when they're struggling, when they've failed, or when they're feeling down. And that's okay. It's their choice, and it's part of the nature of the platform. But you must remember that just because someone's life looks perfect on Instagram doesn't mean it is. Everyone has challenges, setbacks, and struggles, even if they don't make it public. So how do you overcome the pressure to compare yourself to others on social media? The first step is to acknowledge that social media is not a reflection of reality. It's an edited, polished version of reality that has been carefully selected, filtered, and presented in a way that looks perfect to the outside world. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on appreciating where you are in your own life. Celebrate your own milestones, no matter how small they may seem. Your journey is unique, and your life is unfolding in its own perfect way, even if it doesn't always look the way you expect or the way you see others' lives unfold on social media. Another powerful shift is to stop viewing social media as a competition. The more you focus on the lives of others, the more you lose sight of your own. When you stop comparing and start celebrating your own progress, you free yourself from the pressure to measure up. You'll find that the more you cultivate self-compassion and appreciation for your own growth, the less you feel the need to compare yourself to anyone else. Rather than feeling jealous or envious of what others have, you'll begin to see social media as a source of inspiration. You can follow people who inspire you, but you don't have to measure your worth by their achievements. You can use their success as motivation for your own goals while simultaneously embracing and honoring your unique path. Finally, take breaks from social media if it becomes overwhelming. Sometimes a detox is exactly what you need to reset your perspective and regain a healthy sense of self-worth. Use the time away from the screens to reconnect with your own life, your own values, and your own passions. The bottom line is this: social media is just one piece of the puzzle. It's not the full picture. Don't let it define your self-worth. Your life is yours, and it's far more complex, rich, and beautiful than what can be captured in a post. Embrace your own journey, and remember that comparison will only ever take you away from the true joy of living your own unique, beautiful life. Every single person's journey is different, shaped by a unique set of experiences, challenges, and opportunities. It's easy to get caught up in looking at where others are in life and feeling like you're falling behind. But the truth is that each individual has their own path, and it's not for you to compare yours to theirs. We all start from different points, we have different dreams, and we face different obstacles along the way. There's no universal timeline for success or happiness. Everyone moves at their own pace, and that's perfectly okay. Think about it. Some people reach their goals early in life, others take longer to find their footing, and many are still figuring things out at later stages. There's no right or wrong timeline. Your timeline is uniquely yours. If you're still figuring things out, or if things are taking longer than you expected, that doesn't mean you've failed. It simply means you're on your own course, one that's unfolding exactly how it's meant to. Just because someone else is ahead of you doesn't mean you're lagging behind. Their timing doesn't define your potential or your worth. It's important to remember that life's challenges are not one size fits all. While someone may seem to have a smooth road ahead of them, You might be facing setbacks or hurdles that they've never experienced. Perhaps you've dealt with personal loss, financial struggles, or a lack of support, and those obstacles have shaped your journey in ways that someone else's may not have been impacted. Those challenges don't make you less capable or less worthy. They're part of your growth, your strength, and your resilience. Everyone is fighting their own battle, often in ways that are unseen to others. Just because someone appears to have it easy doesn't mean they do. Their challenges may look different, but they're still there. At the same time, it's essential to understand that you don't need to follow someone else's path to find fulfillment. Just because someone's life looks a certain way doesn't mean it's the ideal for you. The beauty of life is that there's room for a diversity of paths, a wide range of choices, and multiple definitions of success. Your dreams, values, and desires might be completely different from someone else's, and that's something to be celebrated. You don't have to fit into anyone else's mold or follow their blueprint. Your success will look different, but that's what makes it meaningful. In addition, it's critical to understand that the people you look up to or compare yourself to have likely gone through their own set of trials and tribulations. You might not see the hardship or sacrifice behind their success, but it's there. When you compare yourself to someone else, you might forget that they've faced their own unique challenges and that their journey hasn't been without its own obstacles. The point is, we all have our own unique struggles and growth moments. What may seem like an easier path for someone else could be a reflection of different circumstances or simply a different season of life. Ultimately, the beauty of your journey lies in its uniqueness. There's no one way to success, no single definition of happiness, and no perfect timeline for achievement. It's not about where anyone else is, it's about where you are and the progress you're making. Focus on your own path and trust that, with time, effort, and resilience, you'll arrive at the place that's meant for you. Your story matters, and your journey is just as valuable as anyone else's, no matter how it looks on the surface. When you're on a journey of self-improvement, it's easy to forget that everyone has their own pace. It can feel like you're falling behind when you look at someone else's accomplishments and realize they may have reached their goals faster, or they seem to have everything you want. But here's the truth. Time is not the enemy. Just because someone else is further along doesn't mean you're moving too slowly or that you're not capable. Everyone evolves at different speeds, and growth doesn't always happen according to a set timetable. It's important to understand that the way you grow is unique to you. Growth doesn't always look linear, and it doesn't happen in neatly defined steps. Some of us experience growth in bursts. We might have seasons where everything seems to fall into place, while other times we're struggling to keep up. That's perfectly normal. In fact, sometimes the periods of struggle are the ones that allow us to develop the most important insights. The times when we feel stuck or uncertain are often the moments that teach us the most about ourselves. They help us build resilience, develop patience, and learn the value of persistence. Comparing your pace to someone else's is unfair to both you and the other person. They may have started their journey earlier, or they may have faced different challenges that allowed them to progress faster. Their success or their timeline doesn't diminish yours. The only comparison that matters is the one you make with your own past self. Where were you a year ago? Where were you 5 years ago? What progress have you made since then? That is where the focus should be. On your own progress and development, not on how quickly someone else has moved ahead of you. In a world that's always moving fast, it's easy to feel like you need to catch up, but in reality, slow and steady often wins the race. Rushing through life and trying to achieve everything quickly can lead to burnout, frustration, and dissatisfaction. True success doesn't come from getting ahead of others. It comes from understanding and embracing your own pace. Some goals will take time to achieve, and that's perfectly fine. There's value in taking things slow and being methodical and in savoring each step along the way. When you give yourself the permission to move at your own pace, you allow yourself to experience the journey rather than only focusing on the destination. The key is to trust the process and have faith that you're on the right path. You're exactly where you need to be in this moment. And if you stay committed to your goals, put in the effort, and maintain a positive mindset, your pace will eventually bring you to where you want to go. And remember, growth isn't just about external achievements. It's also about internal transformation. It's the way you change, the way you learn, the way you become stronger through adversity. Even if it doesn't look like it's happening quickly, trust that progress is happening. It's just unfolding in a way that's meant for you. So let go of the pressure to keep up with others and instead focus on your own personal journey. Celebrate your own milestones, no matter how small they seem, and honor your unique timeline. Your pace is your own, and that is more than enough. At the heart of comparison lies a simple yet powerful idea. You are enough. The world teaches us that we need to be more, do more, or have more to be worthy of love, respect, or success. It often feels like we are constantly racing against others, chasing a version of success that has been defined by external measures. But when you truly understand your worth, when you realize that you are inherently valuable just as you are, the need to compare yourself to others starts to fade away. There's an undeniable power in recognizing that your value is not contingent on how you measure up to someone else's achievements or qualities. You are not a lesser version of yourself just because someone else seems to be further ahead, more accomplished, or more accomplished in certain ways. The truth is, there will always be someone smarter, wealthier, or more successful than you in certain areas. But that doesn't diminish the unique gifts, strengths, and qualities that make you who you are. You are valuable simply because you exist, and you bring a perspective, a skill set, and a set of experiences that no one else can replicate. The root of comparison is often tied to feelings of inadequacy, where we measure our own worth against someone else's success. But comparing yourself to others only serves to diminish your own value, as it suggests that your worth is based on what others achieve or possess. This creates a toxic cycle of self-doubt, insecurity, and frustration. You start to believe that your life isn't valid unless you match or exceed the accomplishments of others. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Every single person's journey is uniquely their own. Some people reach their goals earlier than others, some face setbacks, some may take detours, but the important thing is that everyone's path is different and there is no single formula for success. What's fulfilling for one person may not bring the same satisfaction to another. What someone values in life, what their priorities are, or what they strive for might not be aligned with your own values, desires, or dreams. Your definition of success may look entirely different from someone else's, and that's okay. You get to create your own standards, your own measures of success, and your own sense of purpose. When you stop measuring yourself against others, you unlock the freedom to explore your life on your terms. You start to focus on what truly matters to you rather than what others are doing. This is where self-acceptance comes in. It's about recognizing and accepting your strengths and weaknesses, your achievements and failures, without the need to compare them to others. You are worthy of love, success, and fulfillment as you are, not based on some distant ideal or comparison to someone else's life. Part of understanding your value comes from celebrating the progress you've made and honoring your own growth, no matter how small or big it might seem. Think about how far you've come, not just in terms of accomplishments, but also in the personal growth and resilience you've developed along the way. The challenges you face, the lessons you've learned, and the steps you've taken to move forward. These are all evidence of your own value. Each person's journey is a mosaic of experiences, setbacks, and victories, and it's only when you start to honor your own path that you can see how much you have grown. When you truly embrace the idea that you are enough, the need for comparison begins to dissolve. You begin to trust your own abilities, your own timeline, and your own path. Instead of being bogged down by the success of others, you start to inspire and learn from them without feeling threatened or insecure. You realize that their journey does not diminish yours, In fact, it can serve as motivation, as a reminder that you too can achieve your dreams in your own way in your own time. The other powerful shift that comes with realizing your own worth is the ability to silence the negative inner dialogue that fuels comparison. That voice inside your head that says you're not good enough, that you haven't done enough, that you're falling behind. That voice is the voice of comparison. It thrives on the idea that you're less than or lacking something. But when you recognize your inherent worth, you start to reject that inner narrative. You no longer allow those negative thoughts to dictate your self-perception. Instead, you shift your mindset to one of self-love, self-compassion, and self-respect. This is an important shift because comparison often causes you to forget your worth and focus only on what you lack. It blinds you to the fact that you bring something to the table that no one else can. Your experiences, perspectives, and unique qualities make you an irreplaceable part of this world. By shifting your focus to your own journey and acknowledging your intrinsic value, you begin to appreciate yourself more deeply, and that appreciation will reflect in how you interact with others and the world around you. When you understand that you are enough, you stop seeing other people's success as a threat or an indication of your own failure. You start to see it as proof that success is possible for anyone, including you. You begin to realize that everyone's journey is unique and that it's okay to take your time, to struggle, and to grow at your own pace. You are enough, regardless of where you are in your journey. The comparison fades, and what's left is the powerful understanding that your worth is not defined by anyone else's achievements, but by your own growth, resilience, and authenticity. This is where true empowerment begins. When you stop comparing and start appreciating your own journey, you step into your full potential. You begin to live a life that's aligned with who you are and what truly matters to you. And that's when the magic happens. Because when you realize your own worth, you unlock the freedom to live authentically, to create the life that's right for you, and to celebrate every step along the way. You are enough. And when you fully embrace that, the need for comparison simply fades away. In conclusion, it's clear that the path to personal fulfillment and success is not about comparing yourself to others. It's about embracing your unique journey, understanding that your worth is not defined by anyone else's achievements, and celebrating the progress you've made, no matter how small it might seem. Everyone is moving at their own pace, facing their own struggles, and experiencing their own growth. Comparison only serves to undermine your confidence and distract you from your own path. Instead of measuring yourself against others, focus on your own progress, embrace your individuality, and trust that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should. You are enough, just as you are. Your challenges are shaping you, your experiences are building you, and your journey is unfolding in perfect alignment with who you are becoming. When you stop comparing, you free yourself to pursue your dreams without the weight of unnecessary judgment and insecurity. Remember, success is not a race, life is not a competition. It's about embracing the unique and beautiful path that is yours alone. Celebrate who you are, trust your process, and continue to move forward at your own pace. When you embrace this mindset, you'll find that you can achieve anything you set your mind to, not because you've outpaced others, but because you've fully embraced your own power, potential, and worth.